right, everyone. All right, ready? Here we go. Hello, everyone. Cassandra Williamson, Executive Director for Transgender Earth Looking for American Action Group and our non-action. But anyway, I am doing this from LA. Don't know what LA represents, it's Lower Alabama. If you are familiar with my kind of dry sense of humor. Anyway, let me fade out this music in the background here so we can all hear each other. How's that? All right, so here we go. Let me pause that music. I paused it, turned it off. Okay, good. There we go. So, first things first, disclaimer. The opinions expressed here are strictly mine, not those of any organization, agency, department, or whatever. They are mine and just mine and mine. Okay, just to be clear. And also, if you're under the age of 18 years of age, get out of this site. Go find something else to do. You don't need to be here. So, what are we talking about today, folks? Well, let's just go do a rundown of the news really quickly, like we typically do here lately. Obviously, big focus on pontificating, which is what I'm really good at doing, apparently. Just talk and talk and talk and talk and just keep on going. So anyway, I'm glad you're with us. Thank you so much, wherever you might be watching from. I know that this is, I think it's supposed to be on our website too, but I'm not sure about today. Did I actually post it over there for the website today? I don't know. But anyway, here we are, this today, and we're doing it again, folks. We are going live. We are live on Facebook and on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and well, you're supposed to be over there on the website as well. If anyone wants to join me on stage, let me copy this little link here and then put it over into the comments block over on the other side. You can always just click on that and come in and join if you would like. Just know that if you are disrespectful in any way, or if you're anti-Semitic in any way, or even anti-Zionist in any way, then, well, you and I aren't going to have much to talk about. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it, folks. So anyway, there we go. Posting it now, showing up over on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Don't know about LinkedIn. Don't know if it showed up there. But anyway, so yeah, come on in, watch, enjoy the conversation. Let's try to figure out what's going on. Let's go check out the news. We're going to go check out the news now over on my other site. Where are we? Over here to the news page. Let's go check out what's happening in the world of news. Okay, the very first thing I wanted to bring up here is this article I read this morning by Chauncey DeVega. From 3 hours ago on Salon, and very interesting. Go check it out sometime. Go check it out. Look it up if you'd like, because this is exactly what they think of, and I know this because I've been involved with that. I was involved with it for a long time, back in the late 80s and mid 90s. Okay, so involved in this stuff for a long time. I know exactly what they're thinking, and I know what they mean by what they say. And I know what the words mean when they do say them. And what this person actually talks about in here is, Chauncey DeVega has an interview with a person by the name of Robert P. Jones, founder and president of PRRI. And PRRI is, let me see, Public Religion Research Institute. And every year they conduct this, well, this year's American Values Survey. Anyway, it's right there, it's PRRI. I can put it over in a new link and show you in a second. And they did this in conjunction with the Brookings Institute. And basically, it's just looking at where people stand politically and religiously in the country. And basically, there's a lot of division. And one of the biggest things is this. Let me go down and find it where I had highlighted it at one time in the past. Not one time in the past, but just recently this morning. Okay. Well, political violence particularly troubling. Okay, well, anyway, I'm not going to spend any time on that. You can go look up the article, check it out if you'd like. Let's go on over to the next thing. This is the PRRI site survey methodology, conducted August 25th through 30th of 2023, 2,500 participants, margin of error, supported by Carnegie Corporation in New York in partnership with Brookings and support from the Ford Foundation, the Open Society Foundations, and the Unitarian Universalist VEACH program at Shelter Rock. Okay, so future American democracy is at stake in the 2024 presidential election. Republicans, 24 Democrats, independent, all Americans. Okay, let me see. Pessimism about the state of the country. Yeah, a lot of pessimism. Evangelical Protestants on the blue side and over here on the green side. I'm assuming that's what that means. Political violence becomes necessary. There's a huge push on the Republican side that says, yeah, it may be necessary, but this is mostly driven from the white evangelical Christians, even though white Protestant Christians as well, because they think they're entitled to actually having the country as their own. They think this was given to them to run a Christian nation. And yeah, that's exactly what they teach, by the way. And there's just a lot more data down through here, rise of QAnon believers and all this kind of stuff. You can go down through here and just check it all out. It's a really interesting read. So let's go check out another section of news. Opinion: the Supreme Court may make America's gun violence problem even worse. Yeah, they have that tendency, or they can at least. And I'll tell you that the First Amendment or the Second Amendment absolutely has. It depends. If you're an originalist, then and you stick to that kind of thinking, then no one should have one of these machine guns, right, or automatic weapons of any kind, because they certainly didn't have them back then, and certainly no one is deserving of owning a ballistic missile submarine, right? Jeez. So no right is absolute, not even this one. Anyway, let me go on. Cornell University professor not surprised. Suspect was from the student body. Okay, all right. I'll go on there. These four squad Democrats face brutal primary challenges. That's from the Washington Examiner. Obviously, the words are chosen deliberately to, kind of feed into the narrative they have on that side anyway. So let me see. Palestinian Authority ambassador of the UK repeatedly refuses to condemn Hamas attack. Well, if he doesn't condemn Hamas attacks, then he's part of the problem, because Hamas is a terrorist organization. Flat out, period. I don't care what you think about it. There are good Palestinian people there in Palestine. And Israel has done everything they possibly can to get the civilians out of the way, to try to, help them get away from all the violence and the death and destruction that's occurring, because, Israel has every right to asymmetrically approach solving this problem. It's not a tit for a tat or an eye for an eye kind of thing. You don't go into warfare expecting just to take, proportionality, a proportional kind of response. No, you go into conflict in order to stop the problem that's hurting you. Israel has every right to exist in that land, and so does Palestine and the Palestinian people. They've got that right. They've always been there, period. And you don't just cut history off in 1947 or 46 or whatever, or even if you go back further to the 1890s or 1905, somewhere in that period of time, when establishing an Israeli state was actually thought about and started being pushed more and more, especially particularly from the West. And then it became even more prominent during World War I and World War II. And then decided, okay, yeah, we've got to do something at the end of World War II to restore some of the land that Israel had at one time. But I'm talking about, like BC, up through on and off, all the way up to what, 400 or 500 years ago, something like that. Anyway, so you can just pick your own time period and decide where to cut it off at. It doesn't matter to me. But what it is that they have every right to exist in their own nation, and so do the Palestinians. So maybe a two-state solution is the best option. However, you've got to get rid of Hamas and other terrorist organizations like them. That kind of thinking has got to stop. And if the Palestinians would rise up and put an end to it themselves, it would be so much better for them. Their lives would be so much more improved, and they would be able to thrive and exist and live freely. But they've got to get rid of the ideologies that tell them Israel and Jews must be killed. No organization, no group of people has a right to declare that of another group of people. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're in the United States. I don't care if you're the Heritage Foundation. You don't have a right to tell another group of people that you don't want to have any kind of words that identify them, or you don't want to have them around in anything. What Hamas is doing and the terrorists are doing over there in those lands, it's a hatred that's been going on for generations. Yes, it's slightly different with what the Heritage Foundation is wanting to do, and it's a lot different, really, but the similarities are poignant. You're still trying to erase another group of people you don't like. Both are wrong. All right, FDA to finally outlaw soda ingredient banned around the world. Okay, whatever that might be. He left his white evangelical bubble. Here's what he says it would take for others to do the same. What? He hasn't left his white evangelical bubble. He's still in it. Mass protests erupt, attacked on a journalist in Germany. Yeah. Massive change coming to Medicare in 2024 from Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, Israeli military reveals how Hamas uses hospitals, playgrounds as shields. And yeah, we know that they do that. But I'm going to tell you, propaganda from all sides is something that is absolutely, it's always going to be there. Okay, that's just the way it is. You've got to win the hearts and minds of people to support your views. And that's propaganda is part of it. Hamas is a master at it, just like the KGB was. But don't think that for a minute Israel doesn't do the same thing. Israel, though, has that right to exist. As I said just a second ago, they have that right to exist, and so do the Palestinian people. But both sides are going to have to stop this thing. However, the way to do it is you've got to get rid of Hamas, period. You've got to get rid of that. If you can get rid of that, and those people in the PLA, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, if they're supporting Hamas, don't want them governing that Gaza Strip either. You've got to have a way in there to stop the violence and stop the hatred of Jewish people, and of Israel. It's just me thinking. Bob Menendez indicted for being a foreign agent, defends attending classified briefings. Okay. Military strategy game, not Russia. Russia is pounding homes along one of Ukraine's key rivers because it's scared of amphibious raids. Okay, well, Russia is also acting as an aggressor state. They're going after the people in Ukraine. They want the land in Ukraine. Obviously, it is a great grain producing nation right there. And obviously they want all of that too, but that's not the real reason. Russia still clings to this ideology of like the old Soviet nation that was there, where they had the satellite states protecting their borders. They got a buffer between them and the rest of the country, rest of Russia. They got a buffer line around them. Well, they're trying to establish that buffer line again. But that all comes from the fears that Putin has that the West is wanting to destroy them. No, that's not the case. What's happening is it's a self-fulfilling prophecy on Putin's part. Believed it, talked it, Oh, my gosh. Indianapolis mayoral race, gun control in deep pockets, Supreme Court. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop with that one, and we'll come back to my other favorite topic in just a little bit. We'll get rid of some of these, get rid of some of that, and we'll come back over here in a minute. So let's go, take our time and go look over on Twitter. Okay, this is another fun place to be. This is another fun one, folks. So if you're in here watching, I don't know if you are or not, but anyway, appreciate anyone who does come in. So let me go take a look at Twitter. Let's see if we can find anything. Oh, wait a minute, what's this? Right here. All right, so we'll go right to this one. And then, present, screen, and there. Okay. All right, so GOP senators try to undermine Tommy Tuberville's heroic pro-life fight. Well, this is from the World publication. It says sound journalism grounded in facts and biblical truth. We already know where it's going, folks. So here we go. Eric Teitzel, the person right here, by the way, who is the politics editor for this, is also, I'll just show you, Vice President of Government Relations at the Heritage Foundation. Let's go back to that page. Putting the military ahead of the unborn. No, what we're doing is putting national security ahead of everything else, period. And Tuberville's hold on the confirmations of flag and general officers is absolutely playing into the hands of those who want to see the U.S. fail, wherever we might be, whatever we might be involved in. So those who do that, who are seeking, Tommy's just feeding right into this bunch. And by standing on this, he is causing more problems than it's even remotely worth, period. So those senators who have stood up against him, the Republican senators, I fully applaud them for doing that. They need to. I don't agree with nearly 99.9% of their policy positions or Tommy's positions other than this one here. But this particular issue of putting a hold on all of these people, well, all of these appointments, confirmations, and senior leadership roles in the U.S. military, well, Tommy is doing nothing but, he's fiddling out there, sitting in his chair going, whatever, that's what he's doing. And in the meantime, the world is blowing up around us. I mean, we've got possibly 3 fronts, 2 for real, but possibly a 3rd front that we're going to have to consider thinking about here if it gets any worse. You've got Ukraine and Russia, you've got Hamas and Israel, and you've got potentially, well, not before, you've got China and Taiwan, and then maybe you've got possibly the rising tenor that's taking place in North Korea. Maybe there's a 5th one also. Forgot another one. Iran is blustering again and going out there shouting all of its BS around the world. So Iran has one goal in mind, that's the destruction of Israel and the absolute genocide of Jewish people. And don't think that they wouldn't do the same thing to LGBT people either. They would absolutely hang you up on your knees, up by your ankles, drop you head first over a building. As they do that. That's not hyperbole. That's exactly what the Islamic extremists do. Hamas would do that. And all these people out here protesting on the streets, and they're going, queers for Palestine. But you're also marching in the street with pro-Hamas groups. They're going, we support Hamas and we support this and that and the other. Hamas would absolutely kill you as an LGBT person going over there. If you walked in the streets of Gaza and as an out, proud gay person, you wouldn't last very long. You would be hung up by your testicles. They would hang you up there, folks. Why the hell are you out here marching in support of people like that? Palestine and Palestinians, sure, I get it. I've got no problem with that. But you've got to separate Hamas from that bunch, because even though Hamas consists of a lot of Palestinian people, Hamas is the one oppressing the Palestinian people and have been for, what, 2 decades almost? 15 years maybe, or longer, further back than that. I don't know. But, it's like they're the ones who have caused all the problems in Gaza, because they keep putting all the civilians out on the front to be the shield. Why on earth do you think they make hospitals their bases, or college campuses their bases of operation? Why do you think they do that? Because, they want them to die for their country rather than people in Hamas, the leadership in Hamas. They want to put the cannon fodder out there, all the Palestinian people. But for LGBT people to support Hamas, you have got to be off your freaking medication. I don't know what the heck's wrong with you. You're definitely, you've got some marbles floating around that are just randomly banging against the wall of the inside of your head. Women out here supporting Hamas, you know you would have absolutely no place in that country. You have no rights under extremist views in Islam. You'd have no rights. You'd be oppressed. And every time you decided to take your scarf off, they'd beat the shit out of you. Really? Yeah. Why are you marching in support of Hamas? I get it. I understand the idea about, oppressed and oppression and all that kind of stuff. There is a common thread among all the different groups of peoples who experience this kind of oppression and obsession with, being the minority population, all that kind of stuff. I know that connection is there. I understand that. Okay. But my God, we're talking life and death here. If you're standing up there and if you're supporting a group that wants you removed and destroyed, then you've got to have your head screwed on upside down or something, because if you are supporting Hamas and you're LGBTQ plus whatever, the entire alphabet soup of all of us in this community, you're off your rocker, folks. You really are. And women too. I mean, come on. You have in extremist views in Islam, you have no existence whatsoever, and your only purpose in life is to make babies. That's it. Why would anyone support that? But you know something? And I know that people will get pissed if I say make this kind of analogy, but I don't really care at this point, because still it's the logical thing. It's rational to conclude this. Any group that wants you removed, deleted, erased from the face of the earth, or from the whole of the federal government, or from wherever you might live or exist, we have no business standing with them, because they don't want us around, period. They don't want us around. We need to be calling them out rather than trying to, negotiate our way into working with them in that regard. But I do know that there is a place for civility in all of this too. We have to be willing to hear the other side of all these arguments, except for we already know what Hamas wants to do with Israel. We already know what Iran wants to do with all the Jewish people. We already know what the extremists want to do in Islam. But we also know what the extremists want to do in the evangelical communities too. The white nationalists, and supremacists, and that group that's over there on the right. They don't like any of these other groups either. As a matter of fact, you see a lot of headlines taking place across I need to stop sharing because I'm just talking from this one right here for right now. But right now you see an awful lot of headlines out there saying, it's the left, over on the left, there's a lot of this anti-Semitism and stuff like that. And it's true. Right now it looks like that. It sure does. It looks like that. Granted, it does look like that. It sounds like that. It feels like that because of all the massive, massive protests taking place around the country and the world right now. And the largest group of people out there are the people who vote on the left. And it's just mind-boggling to me that any one of us in this community, LGBTQ plus women, any minority population, who would go out there and stand shoulder to shoulder with a pro-Hamas group. Now notice I didn't say pro-Palestinian group. There's a distinction, folks. There are queers in Palestine, whether you like it or not, but they hide, and they don't like the Hamas group either, because they know that Hamas would kill them. They know that Hamas would kill you too. Yes, absolutely would. But we also should not disconnect our thinking and rational thought from connecting all of this stuff together with our whole thing. We can't be a hypocrite about our thinking, right? You can't say this and then do this. But if we move away from Hamas and just start dealing with what's happening in the United States, for instance, let's take particularly around LGBT people and specifically around transgender people here in this country. There are those in this country who want us erased and deleted, folks. And it's hard to have a conversation with them about that because, we know they want us gone. And we're not going anywhere. It's hard to find It's really hard to find a civil way to have a conversation like that because our rights are being threatened. Our lives are being threatened by these kind of things. But yet we've got people in this country who think, and you know, I'm all for civility. I even wrote a story about it this past weekend, a blog post about it over on our website, the TDV Action Group website. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Go over here. Da-da-da. Go here, go over on the right-hand side and find the blog, but click on that. It's in the drop-down menu over on the right. But go check it out. I mean, I wrote about civility. It's an extremely important thing. We have to be willing to listen. But it is so hard to hear when both sides are yelling at each other. But even then, when we sit down and look across the table at someone and we see them as someone who wants us erased and deleted, like the Heritage Foundation and Kevin Roberts and different ones, Christopher Rufo, Matt Walsh, all these different talking heads up there over on the conservative far extreme right group, and people who have put, like, you know, I don't know, $22 million into working to have us erased. Yeah, I mean, that's a totally different creature right there, folks. But yet, we still must find a way to be civil with each other because we are all Americans here. We're either naturalized or born here Americans, right? We're Americans. We have to realize that first and foremost. And there are lots of things that we can find common ground on. For instance, I can tell you that many people over there on that side also agree with me that Hamas is a terrorist organization. That's a point of common ground. We can find things that we can actually discuss and talk about and come together to resolve in this nation if we wish to do so. But at the same time, you got this big looming black bear over top of you that says, but we also want to erase you, just like Hamas wants to erase Israel. No, I'm not sure how to approach that one, folks. That one gets to be rather tedious right there and odious. So, you know, that's a lot of it. That's a lot of it right there. I mean, I'm just so, civility is important. We've got to tone this talk down, like we were looking at the PRRI thing just a minute ago over on the other site here. Let me go back and look at it again. This thing. Oh, I got rid of it. Okay. Cancel. Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, we've got to find a way to talk to each other. And we've got a couple of things in common. One is we're all Americans. We believe that the future of this country is dependent upon all of us. For the most part, we actually, I know I do, I believe that every American has a right to voice their opinion and not be restricted in that unless it's in like a theater or a plane. You can't go yell bomb or fire in those places. Free speech, every right's got some limits to it, including the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, every single one of them. You know, there's no exceptions to that. There are no absolute rights, period. But anyway, it's really, really annoying that we have to sit here and fight for our right to exist. And I can see the parallels. I mean, it's obviously 1,000 years old over there with Hamas and the hatred of Jewish people. But it's not just Hamas, by the way, that has hated Jewish people. No, you'd have to have your head turned on again upside down to even believe that. These kind of stuff, this kind of hatred toward Israel and Jewish people has been going on, well, in what I wrote this past weekend, you know, since Babylon put them all into captivity in 586 BC. So, I mean, this kind of stuff has been going on and on and on and on. They've been blamed for, you know, the Black Plague. You know, they've been blamed for, you know, all kinds of stuff, including so much so that Hitler killed 6 million Jewish people simply. And I'm talking about men, women, children, all of them. Including in that bunch, by the way, were also transgender people and the LGBT people, because he couldn't stand them either, you know. So, but he lumped all those people together, and there were 6 million Jews, and he just removed them from earth because he blamed them for all the ills of Germany and all the ills of the world. He thought he was doing the world a favor by getting rid of the Jews. Well, you got Hamas who thinks the same thing, folks. Hamas thinks the same freaking thing. Iran does too. But I want to make it very clear, while I don't think Heritage actually wants to hang us up by our heels and drop us over a side of a building, they don't want to see us in public. They don't want us around. And given the time, given the opportunity, violence is the next step. All the rhetoric against us, all the efforts to delete and erase everything that has to do with us from the whole of the federal government that's in Project 2025, that is horrifying. And it's just an easy step going in the other direction to actually carrying out that threat and making it real. And so that's why I can't understand why anyone would overtly support any of the kind of stuff, that has to do with that thing from Heritage, or that thing that Hamas is doing, or Iran is doing, or believing, because they just don't want people around that they don't like, folks. That's all there is to it. All right, so I'm going to go over and look at, let me see, if you go to Twitter, I'm going to stay off of Twitter today. I'm going to go over and look at over to my YouTube site for a second here. I want to show you that there are lots of opportunities out there to see, to watch YouTube presentations that have to do with Project 2025. So what I did was in our channel over on YouTube, I did a search for Project 2025. The very first one is the one I've been showing for a little while. It's this attorney by the name of Leisha Miller, and she does a really great job. Project 2025, that's an excellent presentation if you haven't seen that one. I don't know about this MSNBC one. That's a right-wing Project 2025 agenda revealed, and that was a month ago. And you got Project 2025 with Secular Talk, Republican Plan to Destroy America with the Kyle Kulinski Show. I know that's out there. We also have this one that's from the Heritage Foundation. You can see this one. Staffing the next conservative administration. That's from 6 months ago, folks. They were talking about it 6 months ago. They've been working on this since April of 2022, just so you know. All right. And here we've got David Puckman Show. They have a plan to make Trump dictator. Well, yeah, but they are not tying it to Trump. But obviously they are, because a lot of the people who are developing this program actually came from Trump's administration. The real sycophants. Okay. and I haven't watched this one. I don't know. Let me see. This one is from the Heritage Foundation. This is 59 seconds long. Let's see what.
We begin tonight with a terrifying concept.
A frightening article.
They're calling it Project 2025.
Incredibly important reporting people need to pay attention to.
This plan that they want to put in place if the Republican Party wins the presidency upon the inauguration.
According to the New York Times, those plans include bringing independent agencies under direct presidential control.
It's kind of being pitched under the guise of dismantling the administrative state.
They say they would plan to do this with any Republican president.
It's about deregulation. It's about deconstructing the administrative state.
There's a network of conservative groups who are backing this effort, like the Heritage Foundation.
Take this very seriously. Don't think this is a joke.
It is incredibly alarming.
Frightening development.
You don't have to be a civics dork to know that you don't want that.
We've never seen anything like this in American history.
Okay, let's go back over here. Let's see what other ones we've got here we can kind of clue into. Let's see, this is 8 minutes. I'm not going to do that one. This one is 10. This is MSNBC, Project 2025. We've already listened to it. Let's go down through here. Heritage Explains, 2 weeks ago. Okay, that's
Heritage. Every generation starts over.
To remind the current regime
what your country
tell the government what it is allowed to do.
to get back in their box and stay there.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
From the Heritage Foundation, this is Heritage Explains.
Here we go. This is from 2 weeks ago, I think it said.
Here at the Heritage Foundation, it is not at all unusual to see some of our people and projects on the news. In fact, we spend a lot of time encouraging just that kind of thing, getting conservative policy ideas out there. But in recent months, one of our projects...
I don't want to talk about any of that. I've already looked through the Project 2025. Jeez, for the most part. There's a lot more to read. Let me see. Let's see. Who else are we going to go talk? Let's see what this person has to say. That's too long of a show. That's 10 minutes. Brian's breakdown. Here we go. Friendly atheist. Let's take a look, see what the friendly atheist has to say.
This is Hemmond.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist podcast. Please.
We'll not do that either. Let's go over here. Trump plans to become a dictator. That's 6 minutes long. The Daily Signal. Oh, gosh, yes. Project 2025 would have supercharged Trump's war against the deep state, Ken Cuccinelli says on the Daily Signal. Yeah, okay. Project 2025, a Christian nationalist fever dream that would destroy American democracy. Live stream. That's 25 minutes long. Part 2, this is Power of the Lamb. Uh-oh. All right. Project 2025, prophetic denialism and the rise of SDA MAGA churches. What the heck is an SDA MAGA church? Okay. Part 2, prophetic rise. I don't know. It's 2 hours long. I'm not doing that one either. You need to know about Project 2025. This is the Humanist Report. CNN did that one. And no, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff over here. If you're looking for stuff about Project 2025, then you need to go check this stuff out, folks, because they are darn serious about this. They're really out there to just absolutely destroy. Actually, they're trying to make America what their ideal America would have looked like if they had actually started out the way they said that they started out, back like, they came from Europe. It's a Europe-centric, ethnocentric population of people came over from Europe, and they claimed that it was all God's plan to turn this whole country into a Christian nation to defend that, and that no other religion has a right to be here. If you don't believe that's what they think, you need to go get your head out of the sand. I've got an image for just that, by the way. I've got an image for just that thing. Let me go right here and get this one. Where's the head in the sand one? I don't know. I don't see it. I can't see it like that. Anyway, so I've got one up here talks, has the, anyway. So anyway, go check this stuff out, folks. It is bad news. Bad news stuff. And I'm not going to spend a lot more time up here talking about all of it right now because, this is a struggle. We're in the midst of a struggle for our very right to exist and live freely in this country. And we've got people who are who don't think it's real, who have been asking me to tone down my conversation around all of this, who have been asking me to not be as vocal or even in your face kind of vocal kind of stuff about it. I mean, I do not care to go stand in front of Kevin Roberts and have a good conversation with him. I'd love to have that conversation with him. Christopher Rufo, but here's the thing. Jonathan Turley, even. I would love to be able to talk with all of these people, but you know what they're doing? They're refusing even the remotest of hints of idea of talking with me about it. They're not even acknowledging that what I'm saying to them has been said to them. They're not acknowledging any kind of communications I've had with them so far. They're afraid. They're afraid to come and talk with me about it. But also the people on my side of this fence, the other transgender veterans and other transgender people and LGBT people, I'm getting pushback from that side too. We don't have time for that. We do not have time for that, folks. We've got to be pushing and fighting for this. If we're going to sit here and stick our heads down in the sand, we'll get exactly that. We'll get our butt run over because it's the only thing left standing in the air, folks. Phew. And it's frightening to me that we're just sitting back here doing nothing, actually not putting the first effort in toward trying to make this thing work so we can stop Project 2025. We've got to put a spotlight on it. We've got to start showing that what Hamas is doing and they're thinking that's 1,000 years of hatred, thousands and thousands, actually 3,000 years of hatred, basically. This kind of hatred towards a group of people is wrong. It's as wrong against Israel and Jewish people as it is against LGBT people here in the United States. Back in the Lavender Scare of the late 40s and 50s, where they were rounding up and kicking out of all federal employment all the gays, and because, you know, they'd been convinced there was a wrongness about that. But, you know, and it was all just a bunch of crap. We got the same thing going on today. People are being riled up about transgender people. And the media, and I'm not talking about, I really hate using the term mainstream media, because you know what? If you're a media organization, if you have a media arm, you're media. I don't care if it's mainstream, second stream, behind the stream, under the stream, or whatever. It's still media, folks. It still has an audience out there. And that's just, you know, anyway. Phew. Got to get our head out of the sand. We got to start acting. We got to start moving forward. You got to start doing things and not just sitting around pretending that nothing's going to happen, because, you know, you think maybe it'll just go away. If you think people will actually not do that, well, you have got another thing coming. They've been wanting to do this for a long time. You know, Hamas is, I mean, the ideology or the thinking that's behind the extremism in the Islamic Jihad and Hamas and Al-Qaeda and ISIS and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, all that kind of deep-grained, generational, 1,000 years of hatred is the same seed kind of thinking that makes people go after LGBTQ plus people. It's the same thing. It's the same kind of vileness that's in the brain, okay? And it gets passed on to the next generation of the people, especially if you do your homeschooling. And all your kids get sent to just one particular type of academy of people, and they don't get to see the broader picture. You kind of insulate them from the world, and you keep teaching them, and then their children this and their children that. Well, guess what? You've got a whole group of people now over here who aren't different at all in their thinking, and at least the processes of their thinking, as to what created the hatred towards Jews over 3,000 years. Creating the same kind of generational hatred. It's the same process, the same thing. And if you or anyone you know wants to erase and delete people because they're different, then we need to have an intervention on that one before it gets to be a real serious problem. But you know, we've been reluctant to do that over here because we're nice people. We don't like to get down and dirty and then actually do something about it whenever it comes up and rears its ugly head. We want to sit back and do nothing, period. And people are trying to drive me to do the same thing. Just be quiet, Cassandra. Stop making a fuss, you know, stop pointing this stuff out. Or stop using imagery like that, because, you know, that could offend someone. Well, the idea is to offend. You know, the idea is to get people to start thinking that this is a real threat. Yeah, there's a ton of different ways about how to approach things, and people will no doubt have all their own opinions about it and everything. But I want to tell you, if you don't see this for what it is, as a direct threat, Project 2025, as a direct threat to the existence of freedom and liberty in this country for all Americans, really, I don't know what to tell you, because it is just exactly that. We've got to start thinking in the long range picture. We've got to start thinking strategically. We've got to start thinking about where could that lead? You know, where can this action right here lead? If we don't do something about it now, where's it going to go? Well, you know, you'll end up with a group of people wanting to destroy another group of people. Oh, wait, you already are. Oh my gosh, it's frightening out here, folks. It really is. But at the same time, there is hope. There is a way to fix it. There is a way to solve all of this, and that is that we've got to stop putting all of our differences in the forefront, set them aside, come together and act and do something to solve the problem rather than running when you hear, I mean, if you don't like what I have to say, fine, I don't care. I don't care. That's on you. That's up to you. You have every right to do that. If I don't like what you're saying, I have a right to that opinion as well. But, you know, sometimes we got to set all that crap aside and get together to fight this. And right now, we aren't doing it. We're just going to let them steamroll us. But, like I said, there is a way forward. There is a way forward. And with that, I'm going to call it a day, and I hope you have a great afternoon. And come back this afternoon at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another live streaming show. I'll try to find some more stuff to talk about. If not that, we'll watch the videos. Bye, everybody.